everyone, and welcome to Port Lympne. My name's Will, and I'm one of the many rangers that call Port Lympne home. Now today I'm going to be telling you bits and bobs about our beautiful European brown bear family that are currently behind me and how we keep them here at Port Lympne, as well as little bits and bobs about them and the species in general. So brown bears are one of the 8 species, 8 different types of bear found throughout the planet. And they range in size quite drastically. So you've got the American brown, and then you've got our European brown, which are the family behind us. The American brown bears are the larger type. They can range in weights of typically between 300 and 600 kilo. But that's a drastic difference to how small our European brown bears can be. Now, the smallest European brown bears can weigh in normally around about 85 kilo, and then typically they can push up to about 300 kilo. Julio, behind us, the father, is much larger than Entham, and Julio comes in at about 270 kilo, 280 kilo. You're looking between 40 and maybe 50 stone. The European browns we have behind us are a family of 5. You have mum, Entham, dad, Julio, and their 3 children. Their older daughter, she's about 8 or 9 years old. Her name's Neu. And then the 2 cubs that are about 2 years old now. When they arrived, they didn't have names. Now, their previous location, their previous enclosure, although very, very nice, they did need moving to another location. So when we found out about this, we wanted to offer our bears a forever home. We put a lot of work in to design and build the enclosure that they are now living in, to try and keep it as wild as possible. Bears are notoriously difficult to keep in captivity. They need to be kept active. Imagine bears like toddlers. They're a lot smarter than you think, and if they tend to get bored or left alone for too long without foraging ability, they tend to get a bit mischievous. This is why an awful lot of bears over the world in captivity, they start to display this horrible pacing and rocking behavior. It's the last thing we want here. So what we do is we keep the bears active by what they would be doing in the wild. They'd be foraging for food. Their whole day in the wild would be looking for food. So we feed them a huge variety of food here. Variety is the spice of life. So feeding them just one type of food is never going to go down well. So we feed them over 100 types of veg, fruit, nuts, herbs, seeds, legumes, you name it. Meat, fish, it's a huge variety spread throughout the day. Every day is different. Every form of feed is different as well. Now, it's very difficult for me to say what their favorite food is, because just like you and I, they might have their own personal favorites, and we do notice that individual bears will go for certain things different times of day, whatever suits their fancy. We tend to offer the 5 bears about 25 to 60 kilogram of food a day, spread throughout the day. It's not about sort of the 3 main meals, if you will. We just need to keep them active. So the majority of their feeds are what we call scatter feeds. The keepers move around the enclosure, throwing all the food in, scattering it around the enclosure, giving the bears that chance to use their senses, forage around inside their enclosure, and keeping themselves not just busy physically, but busy mentally. Another thing we can do for this is interacting with their enclosure via toys. Using toys, utilizing enrichment, we can hide food not just in the enclosure but within these toys, getting the bears to figure out how to get that food and using a little bit of their brain compared to just their brawn. The one thing I have really enjoyed by having these bears in the park is just watching them play. They're so much more playful than I ever thought they would be. Even when the keepers are feeding them, when we're chucking food in, maybe chucking enrichment in, Julio, the dad, will sometimes ignore the food and just continue to play with one of his cubs in the pool. They've got a beautiful swimming pool in there that, as large as Julio is, if he goes into the deepest part, he can't touch the bottom, so he has to completely bob in the water like an iceberg. And an animal ignoring food in want of play is so lovely to see. It just means that everything inside the enclosure is lovely for them. They're happy where they are. It's what we wanted to give them. All the trees they've got inside are brilliant. Just this morning I was watching them climb some trees and interact with each other up the tree. We've had one of the cubs try and pull one of the enrichment toys up a tree with him, and it's wonderful. It just, again, it means that instead of offering them tons of enrichment to keep them busy, as a family, they're keeping themselves busy the majority of the time as well. It means they're relaxed, they're going to have a very long life, a very lovely, healthy long life. And we will continue to try and provide for them as best we can, as we always do with all of the animals here at Port Lympne, for however long we can. So that was just a few bits and bobs from me about our European brown bears. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, or even better, come by Port Lympne or even Howlett's. Us rangers are over there as well. We advertise talks every day. Ask us as many questions as you can. We'll try and answer as many as we can. But other than that, enjoy your day. Hope to see you in the future, and thanks for listening.